the October 20th Town Board meeting. Please rise for the pledge. Roll call.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Michael Safone, Fourth Ward.
Stefan Krakauer, Fifth Ward.
Ann Shershon, Sixth Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, attorney for the town.
John Bailey, Town Supervisor. Welcome everybody to tonight's Town Board meeting. On tonight's agenda, public hearing number 1 is a Town Code Amendment, Chapter 169, smoking, vaping, e-cigarettes, and other tobacco products. Public hearing number 2 is a budget for 2022. Number 3 is appointment of Nicholas Craig as a police officer. 4 is a set a date public hearing for 6 Lafco Drive, unsafe building. 5, accept certificate of attendance from Christine Sorcelli, Arthur Grace, Lawrence Sloman, and Simona Cohen. 6, waive the 30-day liquor license for Bluestone Kitchen and Bar. 7, approve Arlington Business Improvement District Holiday Festival. 8, authorize agreement with Suez for gravity sewer evaluation and reporting services. 9, a notification of claim refer to legal, use versus the town. 10 are SCs. SC1 is set a day for public hearing for temporary outdoor dining and sidewalk seating. SC2 set a day for public hearing, Town Code Chapter 105 fees. SC3 authorize Arthur Hero movie production to be held at Arlington Firehouse on Vassar Road. With that, I'd like to make a motion for public comment on any item on the agenda. This does not include the public hearings.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody who would like to comment on any item on the agenda? Anybody, please? No? Not motion to resume the rules?
Second.
Yes, I would.
Oh, go ahead.
I would. Yeah, I'd like to comment. Listen, I completely understand why we would want to limit smoking. I can't stand
Wait,
smoke.
ma'am,
And
ma'am?
yeah.
I think it's
That's the public
Yeah.
hearing. That'll be coming up shortly. You can speak at the actual public hearing on those 2 items. They'll be
Okay, when is that, Jack?
in about less than 5 minutes. It'll be the 3rd item on the
Okay.
agenda, okay?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to any item on the agenda besides public hearings? Nobody? If not, motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like, before we move on, I'd like to change number 3 to number 1, appoint Nicholas Craig as a police officer.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Jeff?
Ready? Okay. Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Nicholas J. Craig to the position of full-time police officer under provisions of civil service law dealing with resignations/reinstatements at the starting yearly salary of $63,845.36, effective November 8, 2021, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 26 nor more than 52 weeks per civil service law. And be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Nicholas, welcome aboard.
This is Charlie.
That brings us back to our public hearings. Public hearing number 1, amend Chapter 169, smoking, vaping, e-cigarettes, and other tobacco products. I'd like to make a motion to open that public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now's the time. If anybody would like to discuss public hearing number 1 on e-cigarettes and smoking, this is the time.
Ma'am, now's the time.
There she is. Okay. Go ahead, just state your name and go ahead, please.
Sure, it's Michelle Squires. I am making a statement about that new ordinance having to do with smoking of, vaping, smoking, marijuana, all that. You know, I was actually thinking, wow, this is a really great thing. Because, number one, we're acknowledging that there's a hazard going on in the air, which is, which impacts public health. And then I thought to myself, wow, smoking is considered, I think it's a class 2B carcinogen by the World Health Organization. So is asbestos, and so is RF microwave radiation. So, our focus has been on very interesting things from my point of view. It has been, on COVID, on smoking, let's say, on a ton of other things. And no one's talking about the pink elephant in the room. What we're doing, in a matter of speaking, is we're viewing this horse running out of a burning barn, and then we're whipping it for leaving the barn. So RF microwave radiation, as everybody on the board knows now, because of the information I've sent to them, impacts mental health, anxiety, coronary issues, fibromyalgia. Residents for the last, not just residents, America has been hurting, and their chronic diseases have increased so many-fold since the added phones and cell phone towers and everything else. And as I mentioned in the last meeting, maybe it's all anecdotal. But I'm really thinking it's not.
Michelle, do you have anything else on this public hearing as relates to the smoking
No.
and
Give her
vaping?
3 minutes.
Okay.
This does relate to the smoking and the vaping, because we will not have so many people rushing to anesthetize themselves from the pain and anxiety that they're feeling, which is why a lot of people smoke, by the way, because it reduces, it numbs you to the effects of RF microwave radiation. So why don't we also treat RF microwave radiation and monitor it, and then treat it like a hazard that the World Health Organization has already identified that it is. But we're not monitoring it. But we will stop smoking in a public space. So I just found the whole thing very, very interesting. I think if the town puts forth ordinances and starts to monitor how much RF we are adding, and we're going to be adding more, because the wireless industry is going to be coming on Poughkeepsie like bees to honey, because these other surrounding towns are, writing ordinances to protect themselves from a predatory industry, which is what wireless is.
Michelle,
But
could you-
Poughkeepsie is not.
Michelle, could you
But
wrap
we'll
it up? It's
stop
about
the
3
smoking.
minutes.
So that I just found that very humorous or ironic, and I encourage the town to start writing ordinances like crazy, because we are going to be hammered by more of this, and more people are going to be rushing to anesthetize themselves, and they won't even know why. So that's my statement for this evening, and thank you again for letting me speak on this subject.
Thank you,
Thank
Michelle.
you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to discuss vaping, e-cigarettes, and other tobacco products? If not, a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Carlos.
Resolution number 1. Be it enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a duly noticed public hearing on October 20th, 2021, at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby adopt by local law Town Code Chapter 169 entitled Smoking, Vaping, E-Cigarettes, and Other Tobacco Products, attached hereto is Exhibit A. And be it further enacted that the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of Exhibit A, and does direct that said local law be spread across the record as if in fact it had been read verbatim. And be it further enacted that the legal notice A public hearing was posted on October 5th, 2021, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on October 8th, 9th, 2021. Be it further enacted that after reviewing the proposed local law and the annexed Environmental Assessment Form Part 1, this board has determined that the adoption of this local law will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact, and it authorizes the supervisor or his designee to answer no to each of the questions on Part 2 of the EAF and to complete Part 3 negative declaration. And be it further enacted that said local law, if adopted, shall be promptly forwarded to the Secretary of State and shall take effect after filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any questions on this one?
I have a question. Jim, the fine not to exceed $200 per violation, is that tied to anything specific, or was that just a number that was?
I'll be very candid with you, I do not recall where that number came from.
Is it,
I can answer that. That number came from the town of Hyde Park. That's the fee schedule they have for fines, up to $200. And I did a lot of work on this based on what Hyde Park had in their.
could we add something that a subsequent violation would be a fine not to exceed, say, $1,000?
Hang it on this, or by an amendment down the road?
Hang it on this?
I'm not a fan of that.
Or $500 for a subsequent violation? Just in case you have somebody that, like, I mean,
200 enough now? I mean,
well, sometimes you have people that repeat, and increasing it would give the opportunity to kind of send a stronger message if somebody.
wouldn't it be better just to kind of go around and see how this takes first? And if it turns out to be a problem, then we increase it? I mean, because so far, the problem that we're having is police didn't have a way to enforce it. And I originally thought this was covered under all the parks and everything like that, because it was already in our town buildings, and most of our state and Dutchess County properties have it already on the books. So this was really to cover our parks and everything else, so
Our parks aren't,
they weren't covered.
we never passed a resolution to not allow smoking in our
We had a
parks.
policy, but it hadn't reached the point of, pardon me, being a local law,
Okay.
so that it was usable and enforceable as to employees, but as to third parties, it wasn't. And going back to your original suggestion, Mr. Cracker, I have no problem with changing the number. I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to come back and do it on a renotice.
All right, then
rather than-
we'll just do it this way, and see where it goes.
Okay.
So we'll hold it and renotice it?
No, we'll just pass the way it
Pass
is.
it.
and-
Pass it
Okay.
this way. We can always amend it later,
Yeah.
add on to it.
All right, anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to public hearing number 2, the town budget. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 2.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here to discuss public hearing number 2, the town budget?
Nobody for the town budget?
No? If not,
No.
make a motion to close public hearing number 2.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Before we read this resolution says that we're adopting the budget. Does the finance committee want to put this out to next week to adopt?
Yeah, there's a few more department heads that we have to meet with before we finalize things, so I think we'd like to go to next week before we adopt the actual budget.
And then we have a notice at the end of this for a special meeting for next week.
We don't have a regular meeting next week, correct?
No.
So we could do it,
November 3rd, right? Is that-
no, I know, but
No,
I'm
we
just
could
saying,
do it.
we don't necessarily have to do it next Wednesday night if it's more convenient for people to do
Yeah, we
it
could do it over-
during, a morning meeting or other day. So,
Yeah, If we were to roll it to the 3rd, I'd ask for time so I can run down the hall and open up the cheat sheet and see when the last day is to do it.
Yeah, I don't
We
wanna
wanna
roll
be
to-
doing it after that.
what about if we do it next Wednesday at 10 a.m.? Will that work for everybody?
Wouldn't work for me.
No. What time?
Wednesday's the first day.
Well, we can do it, since it's probably the only item, we could do it at 7, and, if people want, they can still do it through Zoom. I mean, they can't be here.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, 7 o'clock's fine.
So you want to notice it for next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Regular 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
So what did you just call a special meeting for next Wednesday at 7 o'clock?
That's what we just did.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Savon.
Okay, what's
Okay.
the date for next one?
27th.
So you're not doing anything with this
It
resolution?
would be, so we're gonna put it to 22nd?
27th.
Okay. Alright. Whereas the town board, town of Poughkeepsie adopted its preliminary budget for the year 2022.
Mike, I don't think we have to do
No.
anything.
Oh, we don't have to read it?
Just-
Oh, okay.
We just
Heck no.
closed the
Okay.
public hearing, we're good.
Okay.
Vote is adjourned.
So go to number
until
4?
Yep.
next
That
Wednesday.
brings us to
Number
number
four.
4.
Pardon me, are you continuing the public hearing?
No.
Yes.
You want to continue? You don't want to close it?
No.
They did.
We closed
No,
it.
we're not, no, we're not closing it because we may make changes. We need to leave it open
No, you can still make changes.
if we close the public hearing.
Correct.
Why don't we just leave it open? We can close next week. If you're going to make, well, pardon me.
No, what were you going to say?
My assumption was that, given that there were going to be changes, you might want to leave the hearing open just to, to see if there are
Alright.
any thoughts
Yeah.
about the changes.
So
that's fine.
we'll adjourn the public hearing to
Make
next
a-
Wednesday.
I'll
at
make the
7 p.m.
motion to adjourn the public hearing to Wednesday, the 27th at 7 p.m.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on the number 4 now.
Whereas the building department of the town of Poughkeepsie has pursuant to Town Code 71-5 submitted an unsafe building investigation report dated September 15th, 2021 to the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie regarding 6 Lafco Drive, Town of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, State of New York, tax grid number 626204970462. The owner of record being Velma D. and Melinda D. Colon, 6 Lafco Drive, Poughkeepsie, New York, 12603. Showing that the house, in-house garage, above-ground pool deck, rubbish, garbage, and down trees on the premises are dangerous and unsafe to the general public, open at the doorways and windows, infested with insects and animals, accessible to and a haven for vagrants, trespassers, crime suspects, and illegal activity, and that they are unsanitary and present a health, fire, and public health hazard. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board, town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby waive a verbatim reading of the attached report, does hereby adopt said report and directs that it be spread across the record as if, in fact, it had been read verbatim. And be it further resolved that a public hearing on the order and notice, including the recovery, levy, and collection of town expenses and ad valorem levy, will be held before the town board on November 17th, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And the report is in your packet here.
Be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the certificates of attendance for Christine Sorcelli, Arthur Grace, and Lawrence Sloman for the webinar training presented by Dutchess County Planning Federation entitled Land Use Issues for Legalized Adult Use Cannabis and Perspectives from Massachusetts, and for Simona Cohen to attend webinars on planning and zoning, and introduction and zoning for food trucks, copies of which are attached. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby acknowledge receipt of a request on behalf of Bluestone Kitchen and Bar, 15 College View Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York, for a waiver of a 30-day review period for a liquor license application, and be further resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the town's clerk's forwarding of a waiver and consent pursuant to the attached request. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie authorizes the Arlington Business Improvement District to hold a holiday festival on Saturday, December 4th, 2021, between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., which application requests the closures of Davis Avenue from Raymond Avenue to Fowler Avenue for the Holiday Festival Shopping Village. Be it further resolved, the Town Board further approves the holiday parade on Saturday, December 4th, between 4:45 p.m. and 6 p.m., which application requests the closure of Raymond Avenue North from Hooker Avenue to Main Street from Raymond Avenue to Fowler Avenue. Be it further resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does not include vendors of food and merchandise participating in the holiday festival as peddlers and hawkers, and these vendors are hereby exempt from the provisions of Chapter 151 of the Town Code. Be it further resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby waive the provision of the noise ordinance in regard to the holiday festival between the hours of 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. on December 4th, 2021. And be it further resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby waive all permit fees relating to the holiday festival on December 4th, 2021, pursuant to the request from the Arlington Business Improvement District dated October 11th, 2021, a copy of which is attached. Be it further resolved, the town clerk is in receipt of a certificate of liability insurance naming the town of Poughkeepsie as additionally insured. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on that one?
Right, now this is the one that's starting at the gallery and coming down, is it the one or no?
No.
This piece here is for Arlington.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
gallery
it's just,
piece
it's
is
a
different.
smaller parade route.
But the parade actually starts, right? It's a
The
normal
caravan,
parade?
I
Yeah.
thought we were
Yeah.
starting
Is
at
that a
Gal-
Dutchess County caravan, or is that just a town
It's a
caravan?
town of
Just
Poughkeepsie
town.
caravan.
It's going from the gallery to where?
I
East
thought
Dale Village.
Eastdale.
Okay,
Yep.
'cause Shelby asked me about it, and I hadn't heard.
Okay.
Yep,
And that's the same day?
yep, it's
I
gonna
think
come
it's
up.
the same thing, right? It just
Yeah.
slows down through here, right? That's
It
what
slows
this all-
down, the people that wanna walk through here
Yeah.
will mix into it, and then it'll,
Yeah.
What time does that start as opposed to all of this stuff? After it, or?
probably like, no, like 4 o'clock, it mixes right in with
Oh,
with
mixes
this,
in?
with this
So
one,
you
yeah.
line up at the gallery?
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas Suez Environmental Services, Suez, has submitted a January 2020 proposal to the town of Poughkeepsie to provide gravity sewer main obstruction evaluation and reporting services. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor or his designees is authorized to execute a contract with Suez to inspect, report, and also to advise needed repairs and formats acceptable to the town, including web access, at such intervals as the town may specify regarding its acoustic inspection of the town's gravity sewer mains over a 2-year period, 156 miles per a year, and agreed upon total price of $173,524 for 212 miles of pipe, with the town to pay $13.31 the first year and $13.58 second year per mile for additional evaluation miles. And be it further resolved that the contract shall include the terms provided in the proposal at Exhibit A shall be acceptable to the supervisor, the town sewer and engineering departments, and attorney to the town, and shall also include the term listed on Schedule B hereto. And be it further resolved, this contract is for testing and evaluation services, and it is a Type 2 action requiring no secret review. And be it further resolved that the pursuant to Section 5A of the Town of Poughkeepsie procurement policy, it would not be in the best interest of the town to require further solicitation of proposals for these professional services. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on this one?
Before you vote on this, there's a typo. In about the 8th line, it says 212 miles. It should be 112 miles and 56 miles per year.
Okay.
112, you said?
Yeah,
Yes.
112.
Okay, 112
Any
miles.
questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Just so everybody knows, they'll be using this acoustic system to go through all our lines, and they will be able to tell how condensed the line is. It's supposed to be 6 inches wide, it's only 3 inches. They'll notify us, so we will be pre-cleaning, pre-flushing these lines, so instead of going and being reactive to a spill, we'll be being proactive to something that could become a spill, which we've seen some of these issues before. So this is a process, and we'll probably start in the Arlington area, the older section of town, and work our way out from there.
Resolution 10.
Number 9 to refer to legal use versus the town.
9 is,
Just a notice of claim.
okay. Resolution number 10. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items, to wit: 1, set date for a public hearing, temporary outdoor dining, sidewalk seating from legal. 2, set date of a public hearing, Town Code Chapter 105 fees from legal. And 3, authorize Hearts of Heroes movie production from the supervisors. And be it further resolved that upon objection of any member of the town board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Let's see, 1, whereas in response to the COVID epidemic, in an effort to support the local economy, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, on June 17, 2020, after adopting a secret negative declaration for Resolution 617-2A of 2020, adopted local law number 6 of 220, Town Code 210-109.1, which allowed the temporary use of public and private premises for outdoor dining and sidewalk seating through April 30th, 2021. The provisions of which local law were extended by Resolution 4.21 SC1 of 2021 pursuant to Dutchess County Emergency Order Number 12 of June 8th, 2020 through October 31st, 2021, and whereas by Resolution 6.172B of 2020, this town board also authorized temporary closure of portions of College View Avenue, authorized food establishments to operate outdoor dining facilities thereon as determined by the development director, and authorized the creation of common public dining areas on College View Avenue and elsewhere on town properties as determined by the supervisor or his designee, which authorizes remain in full force and effect. And whereas the town board wishes to extend the effective date of local law number 6 of 2020 regarding outdoor dining through October 31st, 2022, subject to the operating establishments complying with the state and county laws and regulations. And whereas the proposed local law amending and extending Town Code 210-109.1G is attached as Exhibit A and incorporated herein with the deleted language and the added language underscored, and the town board waives verbatim reading of it and directs that it be spread across the record as if in fact it had been read verbatim. And whereas the local law proposed to be extended has previously been determined to have no potential to create a significant adverse environmental impact under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the adoption of the proposed local law requires a public hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that 1, for the reasons aforesaid and because the extension of this local law involves the continuation of routine town administrative practices without any major reordering of priorities, it is a type 2 action requiring no environmental review. And 2, the town board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed local law for November 3rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may come to be heard at the Town Hall, 1 Overacre Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, at which time interested parties may participate in person or electronically by logging into Zoom, which accessing information is noted on the town board agenda. And 3, the town board refers this matter to Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for its recommendation pursuant to GML 239M. And 4, the town board refers this matter to Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board for an advisory report pursuant to Town Code Section 210-154. And 5, the town board respectfully requests that the town planning board and the county department of planning and economic development attempt to respond on or before the scheduled public hearing date. And 6, the town board directs the town clerk to notify the town clerks of each of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the town board has determined for reasons of economy and efficiency and as suggested by the town clerk to repeal the current town code chapter 105 fees and replace it with a new chapter 105 and a fee schedule adopted and amended from time to time by town board resolution, and to further amend the town code so that all other code references to specific fees and charges will refer to the fee schedule as adopted and amended from time to time by the town board resolution. And whereas it is proposed that the current Chapter 105 be repealed in its entirety and replaced with a new Chapter 105 as annexed hereto as Exhibit A and incorporated herein at length as if it had been recited verbatim. And whereas the adoption of a local law to repeal and replace Chapter 105 requires a public hearing, now therefore be it resolved that 1, the town board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed repeal and replacement Chapter 105 and amending the other town code references to fees and charges for November 3rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may come to be heard at the Town Hall, 1 Overacre Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 2, because the adoption of the proposed local law does not involve an action under SECRA which might impact the environment, and because it is part of the ongoing administration of town affairs with no new programs or priorities, it is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review. And 3, the town board directs the town clerk notify the clerks of surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239-NN. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor or his designee to execute an agreement allowing Hearts of Heroes, LLC, to conduct a movie production at the Arlington Fire District Station, 213 Vassar Road, in the town of Poughkeepsie on October 29th, 2021 through October 30th, 2021, and on such other dates as are specifically allowed to consent of the town supervisor, and does hereby authorize the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Force, subject to its standard policies, procedures, and charges, to provide traffic control assistance, and further the subject of Hearts of Heroes LLC, conducting all activities consistent with state, local, and federal laws, rules, and regulations, receiving all required building and other permits, and property owner's consent, as well as agreeing to indemnity, defend, and hold the town and its officers and employees harmless, and providing to the town acceptable proof of workman's compensation insurance, automobile insurance, and general liability insurance, naming the town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to open for any public comment at all.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody who would like to discuss any item related to the town at all? And we ask you to please limit it to 3 minutes. Anybody? No?
There's no hands raised. Does anybody out there like to speak?
No? If
No.
not, motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody have a great night.
Thank you.